Tony Blair has called for the end of Brexit, particularly if he decides public opinion has changed, or at least he wants a soft Brexit to save Britain from a nightmare of a hard Brexit. There is much debate between whether we should have a so-called hard or clean Brexit versus a soft or non-Brexit. To some, the argument has already been settled. We are leaving the single market after all.
What I am proposing cannot mean membership of the single market.
The left particularly claim this would be a disastrous cliff-edge Brexit, especially if we have no deal and resort onto World Trade Organisation rules.
And assume they all meant the same as Nigel Farage, and assume they wanted an extreme Brexit that was not on the ballot paper. So this is a theft of democracy as well as an attack on our economy.
They claim if Britain leaves the EU with a clean Brexit deal, or with no deal, then the UK will fall into plight and become a third world nation.
I think as far as Great Britain is concerned, it would be a financial disaster.
Obviously, during the referendum campaign, there were similar warnings about even voting for Brexit, claiming we would enter an immediate recession and business confidence in the UK would collapse.
There's your figure. But the Treasury report doesn't say families would be £4,300 worse off, does it? It's a bogus and misleading figure.
What do you think will happen? I believe disaster.
Which has been proved wrong time after time.
Retail sales for August across the UK, up more than 6% from the same month last year, also suggest consumer confidence has held up in the wake of the Brexit vote.
The truth is, Ramonas want Brexit Britain to fail, so their flawed arguments can be vindicated. A self-fulfilling prophecy.
Told millions must suffer so that your Euro dream can continue. Well, it won't work.
Brexit will be a success because the current rotten deal the UK has is worse than no deal with the EU. We pay a net £11 billion a year, have no control over EU migration, our fishing waters, laws, trade deals, or influence in the EU. So let's look at what a clean Brexit would look like versus a soft Brexit. According to the government's New Plan for Britain website, we want to establish a new strategic partnership between the UK and the EU. We are leaving the EU, but we're not leaving Europe. We will stay reliable partners, willing allies and close friends. We want a strong UK working together with a strong EU in pursuit of our shared values and delivering for ordinary working people in the UK and in the EU. Immigration was a huge reason people voted for Brexit. People wanted control over their borders, and a clean Brexit delivers that. By leaving the single market, the UK can control its borders fully, allowing those who it needs in terms of skills and barring those who would be an economic burden on public services or driving down wages. A soft Brexit means staying in the single market, therefore having no control over the UK's borders with the EU. Over the past 10 years, the UK has seen record amounts of immigration, at vast levels in a short period of time. This has caused some resentment in communities, and particularly a depression of wages for those on lower wages. According to the Bank of England, every 10% increase in migration results in a 2% depression of wages. This is why people voted for Brexit. On the other hand, Remainers say we need mass immigration to support the economy. One wonders how the UK ran for 1,000 years without EU mass immigration. Plus they want the UK to stay in the single market, which requires freedom of movement. Trade is a vital part of post-Brexit Britain. Let's look at some statistics. The UK has a huge trade deficit, especially with the EU at £23.9 billion in early 2016. About 44% of UK exports in goods and services went to other countries in the EU in 2015. That's £222 billion out of £510 billion in total exports. There has been a 10% decrease in trade with the EU in the last decade. We continue to rely less and less on European markets and, importantly, more on global trade. Whilst being in the EU's customs union, all trade deals are done by the EU, meaning they have to be in all member states' interest, not in Britain's interest. That's why we have no free trade agreement with Australia or China or even the USA, our closest ally. A clean Brexit means leaving the customs union and signing trade deals across the world, as well as trying to gain the best possible trade with the EU. Donald Trump has signalled he wants to sign a quick, free trade deal with the UK. Remaining a soft Brexit gives one advantage to the UK: full access to the EU's single market by being a member of it. However, this means paying a price in monetary and sovereign terms. Soft Brexit means membership of the customs union, so no freedom to make our own free trade deals.
And you would stay in the customs union too?
Well, the customs union, I think, is a bit more complicated. I would.
But we'll just take that. You would do. Because I want to add up what all this means, Nick Clegg. Your idea of a soft Brexit is we remain single market membership, we continue with EU contributions, we have free movement of peoples, the jurisdiction of the European Court, we remain in a customs union, which means we can't do most of our own trade deals. You know what that's called? Membership of the EU.
Britain has the mother of all parliaments. We have lived in a parliamentary democracy for 1,000 years. A clean Brexit means regaining control of who makes our laws. No longer faceless Brussels bureaucrats, but the British people. Remainers want Brussels to run the country. They want pooled sovereignty because it's for the common good, of course. Clean Brexit means British law is sovereign, leaving the European Court of Human Rights and the European Court of Justice. A clean Brexit also means reducing EU budget contributions significantly. As was said in the referendum campaign, the current gross figure is £350 million a week. However, Remainers feel this figure is inaccurate because we get some money back from the EU. The problem is we don't decide where that money goes, the EU does, meaning by enacting a clean Brexit deal, we can decide our own priorities instead of Brussels dictating them to us. A soft Brexit deal will give the EU huge sums of money in return for single market access. Is this what people voted for last June? Finally, a swift Brexit would mean as a nation we're not clung on to a failing market of disunity, centralisation of democracy and low growth. It means the EU can no longer make decisions for us that are inherently not in our interests. It means that we will be free to form a great future with the rest of the world. A soft Brexit means less control, probably eventually reapplying for membership, or even having kind of sub-membership without having any input into EU directives. That's the worst kind of Brexit. The EU is developing an army foreign policy and will always want higher budget contributions. It's an unstable economy. Just look at the Eurozone. The EU in its nature requires ever closer union. They yearn for more Europe, whilst the people desire less. A clean Brexit deal is the one people voted for. Now Tony Blair wants to stop the wishes of the British people. Don't let him. If you like this video, please like and subscribe for more Brexit content.
It's for S1 Beat.